This is the interview show, the UniWeb's interview show.
Go. J.Webb Garrett, what's up, man?
How we doing?
UniWeb interview show.
Thanks for having.
Thanks for coming on, man. I'm your host, Matthew Whiteside. I'm here with J.Webb Garrett, author. J.Webb, man, what's going on today?
Not much. Just nice chilling out, trying to keep warm because it is freezing outside.
Where are you located?
Central Illinois.
Central Illinois. Is there a lot of snow going on right now?
We haven't had snow for a while. It's just been frigid.
Frigid. It's like freeze your nipples off kind of frigid, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Kids used to say colder than a witch's tete when I was a kid. I don't know if you've heard that one.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard that? Yeah. It's like that out there. Well, at least it's not snow. I guess you can at least go outside, right?
Yeah.
So what have you been up to today? You been writing?
Yeah. Yes. Working on book number 4.
Book number 4. All right. So great. So you've got 3 books out right now, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So let's go. It's a book. It's a series.
The first one's by itself. The others are part of a series.
So let's go with the first book you published. What's the name of it?
First book I published was Neon Calico.
Neon Calico. That's the one I'm looking at right now. The cover art, and that's the one you have up on your Twitter and your Facebook page is your background?
Yep.
So that cover art's awesome. It's like futuristic, cyberpunk kind of look.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the book about?
The book is, as you kind of surmised, is a cyberpunk story.
I did some cheating. I read.
That's I assume. It's about a young woman, the title character Calico, who is kind of having a little cyberpunk adventure while she's trying to discover who it is that she wants to be. How defined is she by where she comes from and her past versus who she envisions herself as.
Okay.
Complicated by how much of her is still human with all cybernetic robotic implants and stuff like that.
Oh, so she's like a android part. What, do you have a name for it in the book, or is it
cyborg or Borg or?
So she's trying to overcome her past and kind of prove herself.
Trying to overcome her past. She's trying to prove herself more to her own eyes than anyone else's, and break away from the ties that her past and specifically her family are trying to force on her based on their more, to her, more archaic beliefs of human purity and the not use of augmentations and things like that.
Oh, so there's ideas of like because she's cybernetically enhanced cyborg that she's no longer like a pure human and she's not good anymore. Like she's half race or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow. So that can go pretty deep, I guess, then, huh? And the social climate and all that kind of stuff.
That was one of the ideas behind it, is touching on some of those issues through a fictitious lens, as it were, even though I guess it's becoming more and more nonfiction as time goes on.
I know. Well, that's neat that you went in, you took that approach. How long has this book been out?
It's been out for almost 2 years.
2 years, okay. And did you self-publish this, or was this? Are you?
I'm self-published.
You're self-published. Awesome. I saw on your Facebook that you were doing some book signings, right? So how do you get into the book signing thing as being self-published? Do you have an agent or?
No, I have a really awesome local bookstore Shout out to Bob's Books in Charleston.
Pops
Who,
books.
yep, who has just been an incredible aid to any local author in letting us, basically letting us stock our books there, selling them for us, and allowing us to have writing events or book signings or things like that. Just anything he can do to kind of help the local authors, he's been trying to do. So It's been a big help.
That's awesome. Hey, J.Webb, can I ask you real quick? Because I don't want
Sure.
you to be cut off when the video gets uploaded. Could you like move the camera a little bit, just because you're kind of on it? There you go. Perfect. Yeah, I didn't want you to get cut off. I don't know if it might have, but anyway, so that's cool. So that book's been out 2 years, and then you said you started a series. So you have 2 books in the series now, and you're working on the 3rd.
Mhm.
Cool. So what's the series called?
The series is called The Morrighan Song.
Okay.
It's,
What's this about?
Pardon?
What's this one about?
This one is an urban fantasy, focusing on Irish mythology. As I've read a lot of urban fantasies, they're one of my favorite genres, but I've never seen any of the books tackle Irish mythology very heavily.
I've never even. Can you give me an example of Irish mythology?
Okay. Well, the Irish mythology's probably most well-known hero that is often equated to Heracles or Hercules, and sometimes jokingly called the Irish Hercules, would be Kook Elaine, known for being this heroic, wondrous badass with a super spear that can kill anyone it strikes, and it is big, over the top myths and legends that are just fantastically fun and at times just horrifying to think about.
How did you get into this?
The Irish mythology comes from 2 parts. One is, though my family is not strictly speaking Irish, we're American mutts like everyone.
Yeah.
Right. My grandmother, when I was growing up at her farmhouse, would occasionally tell me crazy, like, she would use mythology as bedtime stories, and often ones that she just heard as a child. And she told me a few that I came to realize later were from Irish mythology, Gaelic mythology. I have no idea where she ever heard them, but they very much stuck with me. They very much resonated.
Okay.
And then later, I was watching a YouTube series while I was working on kind of a draft for the next books I wanted to work on. And a series called, I think, Tales Foundry had a video of Where's All the Irish Mythology? Just talking about how Irish mythology is not as present in popular culture as Greek or Norse or anything like that. And
Right.
I just thought, yeah, where is it? So I'm going to write it.
So you found a need and you filled it, basically.
Pretty much.
And I can imagine because honestly, like, that's not something I've ever heard about. But I guess Irish mythology. All right, and this may be stupid, so you can virtually slap me if you think so. But like leprechauns, is that Irish mythology?
Sort of. That's more Scottish, but it's
Really?
same. It's there. The problem with leprechauns, and I might be thinking of the wrong thing here as well. They don't have, from what I read up on them, they don't have a known source of their myth.
Origin. Ooh, that's cool.
Which, like, yes, they're predominant in Irish culture as well. Actually, more so, I realize now that I'm thinking about it more. But they're very popular. And they've popularized the idea of the Irish Fae, or I pray I'm not butchering this because I write it more than I say it. She.
That's okay. That's okay. It's okay to make mistakes on this show because I make more than anybody, so it's no problem.
But yeah, the Leprechaun is like this. Yeah, it is Irish. When I said Scottish, I'm not actually sure where I was thinking with that. No, it is Irish. That was my bad.
That's okay. So the Leprechaun's Irish, and then you said say the name of the one you said was like Hercules or again
Kook Elaine.
Kook Elaine.
Kook Elaine. Literally translating to Kool Aine's dog.
So what's a Kool Aine?
Kool Aine is a guy that when the kid who would eventually be Kook Elaine would grow up, he accidentally killed his guard dog. And so that left Kool Aine without a dog. So this kid said, hey, until you raise another one, I'll be your guard dog. Oh. And so became Kool Aine's dog, or Kook Elaine.
Kook Elaine. How long did it take you? So it sounds like you've done a lot of research for all this stuff, which you've been writing. So the books that you have in this series, what was the series called again?
The Morrighan Song.
The Morrighan Song. So, how long did you do research for this before you wrote, or did you do the research while you were writing? How long did the two books take?
I've been a mythology geek for so many years now, even before I was actually publishing my work. So I pretty much try and read up constantly anytime I come up with an idea, or usually it's because I've read something that I'm inspired to then put it in the book and introduce other people to it, such as Irish mythology in general.
Right.
I know a lot of people like you have no real knowledge of it.
No, yeah, I'm excited to read the books. I want to read your books because it's something, a take on, because I'm a huge Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Norse mythology. Like, I love all that stuff. Like, Rick Riordan is one of my favorite authors. Obviously, like the game God of War, like just because of the heroes and the Titans and all this different kind of stuff. I mean, the mythology, the gods of the gaps, right? It's like they created these gods to fill in spaces that they didn't understand, and it's happened in all different cultures. But to see, a different culture's take on it, like an Irish culture's take on it, it's cool. I'm Irish, Scottish, Scandinavian, stuff. I don't know, but it's nice because I don't know a lot about Irish history or beliefs. That's cool. And so what are the names of the two books?
The two books, the first one was The Eye of Baelor, and the second is Curse of the Black Dog.
Curse of the Black. So that has to do with the main character then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The main character is actually one of the gods or goddesses of the primary pantheon, the Tuatha De Danann, and I'm probably butchering that one too. Danann. I'm not actually sure. Again, it's like I see them written all the time, but I don't hear people say them.
Dude, no, like I can read words really well, but then when I have to spell them or say them, it's like, good luck.
Yeah. I say that to my friends all the time because I slur words and mess up all the time. I'm like, I'm a writer, not a speaker.
Exactly. Yeah. Cut me some slack, pal. So are these books are also available on Amazon?
Yes, these books are available on Amazon, both digitally and in paperback.
Okay, awesome. And I was gonna, is there like a Mount Olympus in Irish mythology?
There is, though it's less only the home of the gods. It's more the home of everything that isn't a mortal or human being. It's
all
typically
the different magical creatures.
Yeah, it's typically just called. Let's see, there's Otherworld is kind of one of the most common phrases for it. It's also just called at times called fairy, like capital F, fairy.
Okay. So these are primarily fantasy stories, right? It's a fantasy, and then Neon Calico is a science sci-fi.
Yep.
Okay. So what is the, and I like to ask everybody this question, what's kind of the inspiration that got you? I know you talked about your grandma telling you the Irish history stories, but what's the inspiration behind wanting to write sci-fi or fantasy? Like, why do you write what you do?
I write what I do because sci-fi, fantasy, primarily fantasy, that's what I grew up on. I grew up my mother reading me, bedtime stories that rather than, I mean, I don't actually know what most households would read their children, but she read me like
I was read the back of shampoo bottles.
Okay, yeah, I'll take mine. I was read Elf Quest by Wendy and Richard Pine. The original Jungle Book,
Oh yeah.
And a whole bunch, and then eventually I started reading them myself, and fantasy and then later science fiction have just always been such a strong part of my life that it was just always natural. I've been writing stories since I was probably around 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And it just kind of grown from there.
Wow. Yeah, I was gonna ask how long you've been writing for. It's amazing too, because this is one of my other beliefs. I feel that, and we talked about this before the interview, that everyone has that story inside of them, right? But we all can't write these nonfiction, like memoir style things, because I know for me, I've tried doing that, and the visceral nature of it, it's almost too much to put onto paper, I suppose, for me. But when I write in sci-fi, when I write fantasy, like this last book I wrote, it was all my story. It was completely my story, but it came out in a sci-fi way. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's like we don't necessarily stop telling our story. We just find a different channel in which to get it out, and that's so it sounds like that's what you're doing with the sci-fi and the fantasy, right?
Very much. I usually take a lot of stories start with something I'm struggling with or something that just bothers me, and just it grows from there as I work through it myself, or at least try to, and becomes usually not an answer, but at least my own thought process on the subject.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? Like we almost like work out it's like doing a math equation with words. It's like, but it's like an emotional math equation that
Yeah.
we're trying to figure it out. We have no idea. Like I'm writing this book about a guy who has massive success from publishing his very first book, and I wrote it because I have this fear of like, what happens if I ever become successful? Because I've never been successful. So I'm
I
like,
feel that, man. I feel that.
it's like, what would I do? I didn't know, and it truly terrified me. So like, I'm literally writing this book hoping that the character like shows me the way somehow. What are, if you don't mind me asking, like, what are some of the questions you ask when you're writing?
With the first one, especially with Neon Calico, a lot of the questions were, what does it mean? What does it mean to be human? Is kind of the big overarching one, and like I know that's touched on a lot in science fiction and cyberpunk, but there were also questions of diversity, sexuality, self-worth, and I guess the big one would be, is it okay to just decide your own path, or should you walk the same path that has been laid out for you
Right.
in life? And
Well, what'd you figure out? What'd you find out?
with that one, I came to, like, you can't only live your life. You can do good by yourself, and in the spirit of that, take risks, walk your own path. I mean, I'm if independent author. That's that kind of defines my life.
Yeah, right. It's true because there's so many fears out there to do certain things. Like I know this scared the crap out of me at first doing this, but I knew that it excited me more than anything else. You know, like I finally got to a point in my life where I stopped listening to other people and I started listening to the things that light me up. You know, the stuff that resonates with me, that like for whatever reason, like that harmonic vibration nails me in the chest, and I'm like, yeah, there's some, I don't know what this is, and people are gonna think I'm weird probably, but it makes me feel like I'm on fire and alive, and I'm just gonna go after that, right? And I
Yeah.
think that happens with a lot of people in success when they're going after successful things or trying a new way of life, because there's that fear of like, well, you look stupid, don't do that. You know, there's that fear of being different that I think you know. I mean, I know as a writer, I'm sure maybe you feel the same way. It's like I've always felt like an outcast. I've always felt
Always.
like other.
Always.
Yeah, always other. My thought process is the way I imagine things and the way I do things have always been outside of what the normal people would do, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's
And
fun to finally get on that path. So as an indie author, what have you seen some pretty good success, or like what are the things how you've been an indie author for what, like 4 or 5 years now?
just two since
2 years.
Calico, please.
Right.
But
What
success wise, financially, no. Financially, it's been very rough.
Mhm.
And I've had to rely on the help of friends and family through part of it, and I
Right.
hope that will be getting better. But it's still like I don't know what the future is going to entail.
Right.
But there have been moments that I will definitely call success. I received an email I think a couple months ago from someone I've never heard of, I've never met, just wanting to tell me how much they enjoyed one of my books and how glad they were to read it and how happy they were that they discovered it, and that made it worth it. That was success for me.
That's awesome, dude. You gave me goosebumps, man, because that's what it is, right? Like that's the whole reason we write, is because we want our story to resonate with somebody else, and even if it's just one person. I mean, but I'm learning this too from doing these interviews and talking to other authors. Um, I've talked to some already that are like hugely successful, and some that are still starting out and like working on getting their books written and all that kind of stuff. But it's about that persistence, you know. It's like you know what you want, you know your work is good. It's like you're still following that voice, and it takes time. You know, time takes time. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I just started myself self-publishing, and I imagined, because I'm a maniac, that I would immediately be a millionaire and people would be not like I imagine publishing companies like knocking down my door, like begging me to come to them. But it doesn't mean it's never going to happen, right? It just
Right.
means that it hasn't happened yet. But I can't, if as long as if I stop writing, if I stop working, then it never will happen. It's like we just have to keep doing what we love.
I kind of have a bit of the opposite in that I have a bit of self-loathing, depression issues, and so I don't expect, like I never expected any real good to happen to me through this, and because good has happened, it's helped encourage me to keep going. And there's also a self-motivation of this is what I am. I am a writer. So what can I do? I can keep writing.
Yeah,
And
that's so true, man.
it's a way, it helps cope, it helps deal with a lot of my brain crazy, and gives me a focus, it gives me a constant, and
Yeah,
it goes a long way to helping make everything else a bit easier.
yeah. And so I mean, you get a chance to pour that out into your stories, right?
Hmm.
all that kind of stuff. That's so cool, man. No, I mean, I can relate because I definitely I come off when I say that I imagine amazing success. I dealt with a lot of depression. I'm in recovery right now for alcoholism, and going through those times where I just absolutely hated myself. You know, I didn't think I didn't deserve a good life, and you know, working a program and then writing again. It's like I get to write, and it's happened when I was writing my last book. It was that I realized while I was writing that I can literally write my own story. I can literally write anything and everything I want and change whatever my past was, you know? It's like I can rewrite my own history by starting from this point. And it was such a profound thing for me when I was writing the story because there's a lot of like cutting away of past selves in my story and becoming the hero that you're meant to be, and this idea of unlimited power from within that that comes from deep personal pain and depression and sadness and like just feeling alone all the time. And that's one of the things that I call it. I think magic. I think writing is magic. You know, we write about magic a lot, but I literally think that writing is a form of magic. You know, the way we transmit emotion and feeling into words. And
I don't know what else to call the power of being able to put words on pages and let people see visions of great adventure and fantasy. Magic is a great word for it.
I know, right? Like it's the only way I can explain it. The feeling it gives me. And I mean, it sounds like that's what you're doing, and that's fantastic. And I want to ask you too. I mean, this kind of just goes right into that. So, what's your legacy? What do you want to leave behind? If people read your books, what do you want it to say to them?
Honestly, what I hope when someone reads my books is that I hope that helps them have a good day. I hope it brightens their life in a small, maybe significant, maybe insignificant way. And that's really what I hope for. I'm not looking to radically change someone's life or leave behind this grand legacy of this great legendary author. I'm hoping I made someone else's life a little bit better.
Oh man, that's profound. That's awesome. I think if you know if all of us kind of had that attitude on Earth, we would the Earth would be a much nicer place. You know, if we all just kind of walked out and tried to make somebody's day a little bit brighter. So
Yeah, that's kind of my aim. It's what I feel I can do. So might as well. There's no reason not to do it.
yeah, and you do it with whatever capabilities you have. Obviously, you're a gifted writer, you know, and that's when we transmit story, and that's what I mean. It's funny because you're writing about mythology and stories, and you're basically just carrying on that same legacy of telling stories, of transmitting feeling, emotions, and all these different things through your writing. So it's neat how it all kind of works out that way, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you're working on book 3 now, correct?
Yep.
All right.
Book 3 of the Morrighan song. Yeah.
How far into it are you?
Oh, I just hit. I'm about at the halfway point of the second draft. So
Okay. So you've written the whole first draft.
I wrote about 70-80% of a first draft, and
Okay.
just got a change in a story beat that significantly changed the whole work. So I jumped straight into the second draft.
Okay. So when do you have like a goal date in mind that you're gonna want to have that done, or?
My goal is to have it done by the summer, but that's going to depend very heavily on my editors and beta readers.
Okay. How many beta readers do you typically use? Do you have like a group of people you always go to, or?
I have a group of people that I try and send it out to. Often I'm lucky if I hear back from 2 of them. But I have 2 people who very heavily go over my book and help me with editing, and then I have again, around five or six people that I regularly send stuff out to say what they think of it. And I try to make sure that they're not just my close circle of friends that have all of my same interests, but often people who have very different interests than myself, to see if they can still enjoy it.
Yeah.
And people aren't afraid to tell me that it's garbage.
I know, man. Like right now, I'm still looking for good beta readers, because not that I don't have good beta readers. I'm just the ones I do have are like really close family, and they're always just like, "Oh, it's beautiful. I love it." You know,
I love
like,
it.
come on, tell me.
No, it's not.
It's not good. I want you to throw it in the trash. Yeah, it's like, but yeah, it's a process. Do you have do you want to give your editor a shout out? I mean, I don't know who you're using, but if you like them, I don't know.
Well, they're not professional editors, but they're Deb Harada is one of them.
Okay.
She's really good, and she helps me with a lot of like grammatical catches that I miss and things like that. And then another one I have, Leah, who is great at story beats and elements of that, are the two that I use most heavily.
Okay.
And again, they're not professional, so I don't really think I should give out all their information.
No, I'm not. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's nice having people that will help you with your work. I know with my first two, I just kind of did it all on my own, not knowing the whole process. I was just excited I actually wrote a book.
I'm still kind of there.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, you know? Like I put 80,000 words in readable format. Enjoy the story, people. Stop telling me I spelled something wrong. That's fantastic, man. Awesome. So you got that book. How do you have like a goal or a quota you try to reach each day with words, and how much you work?
Every day I set myself a goal of 2,000 words.
Okay.
Some days I do much more. Other days I struggle.
Yeah.
And I probably write at least double that on average, but then of course that gets deleted, rewritten, back and forth until I end up with around 2,000 words a day.
Okay, cool. You write every day? Do you don't take any days off, or?
I take weekends off from my 2,000 word a day goal, but I still am usually outlining or plotting, or I'm still involved with the process in some way every day. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I know I've had to try to figure out ways to give myself like breaks, like the weekend, because when I first started out, I was so excited about writing. It's like I wanted to do it all the time, and then I like went nuts because it's hard to, because you get to a point it's like you want it to.
You'll have those great up moments. You'll have down beats, and that's why I gave myself a word per day goal. Is if it's a great day and I can write, double, triple, quadruple that, fantastic. If it's one of those terrible days, I'm like, no, struggle through, put words on pages. Even if you go back later and realize all this is crap and change it again anyway, just get words written, fill blank pages. And doing that over and over and over again helps get books done. It helps, because if you only wait for those good days, the good days aren't going to come.
Right.
You'll be waiting forever.
Hey, that's it. Yeah, you got to just do the thing, right? If you're always waiting for the feeling before to do something, you're going to be waiting the rest of your life. That's so true. I was going to ask you. I totally forgot. But no, I love that about that. Just getting the work done. So links to your work, are they on your Facebook? I was looking on Twitter and Facebook, see if I could find some links, because I want to link all your books and your series to the YouTube video and all that stuff when I put it up.
Yeah, they should be on my Facebook. If they're not, that means I'm going to go put them on the Facebook right away, because they are supposed to be on there.
Let me see.
There should be a shop now button that serves
Oh,
the
okay.
link to the Amazon page.
All right, cool. I'm gonna put that on there.
Awesome.
Anything you want to leave the writing community, your fans, soon to be fans? Any quote or?
The best I could say is that no matter what, if you enjoy writing, then write. I often like telling this story of the first book I ever wrote that will never see the light of day, sadly. I wrote it back when I was in junior high.
Nice.
Every study hall, I would take homework home. I was one of those weird kids who would actually do homework at home. Study hall was, I just take a break, and I started writing every study hall.
Okay.
For an entire year, handwritten, and ended up with, at the end of the year, with several hundred handwritten pages of this full fantasy epic story that was, looking back on it, probably pretty terrible because I was not as good of a writer back then. But I made the mistake of, over the summer, I would spend a lot of time out at my grandparents' farmhouse, and I left that story sitting out one day, and my grandmother thought it was just leftover trash. So it fell straight into a burn pile.
Oh my God. It's so sad.
And that
was your heart?
When I found that out, that weekend, I spent probably a week or two just I was completely destroyed. Afterwards, I just started over. And I tell people that's what you have to do.
That's some perseverance, dude. Yeah, my heart would have been broken.
Oh yeah, it was devastating.
I lose a sock and I pretty much curl up into a ball for a week. I'm like, no, I love that sock.
My favorite sock. Identical to every other sock.
That's awesome, man. Just keep writing. Absolutely. J.Webb Garrett, I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for you joining the UniWeb's interview show, where all people become one people, because we're all here for each other. I love you, bro. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Absolutely, man. We'll talk to you later, okay?
All right.
All right. Bye, brother.
Bye.
Yo, let me ask you a question. You like this video? Huh? Just like it? Was it good? Was it good? If you did like it, please subscribe. Thanks.